Hey there everyone, it's Helen. I'm the national artist for Sephora collection, and I don't know about you, but I'm super obsessed with the really full brow looks that are coming out right now. And I have to tell you, it just looks really romantic and powerful, and it's super easy to do. So I'm gonna show you in 3 easy steps how to get the look. So what I love about brows is that they really can define your look or just make your look. You don't need to create any other focus. So I like to have a defined full brow, but you can definitely have a deconstructed full brow as well. It just looks really cool. So I did the Build Your Own Brow Kit by Sephora collection. So it has pretty much everything you need to build your own brow. So I put in my custom color in here, and this is one of our new shades. It's a neutral gray brown. Starting with our retractable brow pencil in neutral gray brown. This is really great because it has everything you need for the first step. So it has the spoolie for you to brush through as well as the color to fill in. So I like to start by brushing my brows down. And this is sort of a funny trick, but it really does work. If you don't want your brow to look too heavy, I always start by brushing down. So I like to do this so you can see where that brow hair starts, and that's where you're gonna fill. You can see it looks a little sparse right here, and I always start just right on that line, and I don't fill in too much because you don't want it to look too heavy right in the center. It's always nice to have a little bit of separation between your brows and where that depth is. Okay, so that's created a nice line and given me just a guideline as to where I need to fill. And then I always comb through. You can never go wrong with your brows if you comb through every time you fill. So be sure to just comb through and soften everything each time. You can brush them up if you know that you want them styled upward. I brush them like almost right in between. So I don't like my brows to be like too spiky and up because I don't trim them. But if you groom your brows and you're really good about it, it looks really cool to do that. That's kind of like that deconstructed look. And then I'm gonna fill just right here. I can see I have some gaps, and I almost always concentrate all of the pigment towards the back end of my brow. So I never fill too much in the center. If you have big gaps in the center, definitely you can fill lightly, but I don't recommend filling in where you have hair. And you can make your brows like very tapered with this pencil because it's nice and thin, but you can also, of course, soften it and make it look a little less defined and more diffused. It just depends on the look you're going for. What I really like to do is just always comb through every time I fill, and I can see I just need a little bit more fill here to give it that shape that I want. I like a really nicely defined brow. And what's also cool is when you're choosing your color, this comes in 12 shades now, so you can really customize your kit with your perfect shade. We have Auburn, which is a new shade, as well as this neutral gray brown, which I think is awesome for blondes. We also have blonde and taupe, which works great for blondes, but I prefer something that's like really neutral when I'm wanting to add a lot of volume so you don't see any sort of demarcation, and it's like a little darker than maybe my brow would be, so it gives it that like extra defined look. What else comes in this kit, I will show you in a little bit, but it has tweezers in it, and it also has brow gel, which is really great. So we'll get into the brow gel, but if you ever needed to tweeze your brows, it's good to do that ahead of time. So I like to tweeze my brows before I even get into doing my brow. Okay, so now for step 2, it's all about adding that like extra highlight or definition to the ends of your brows. So some people use brow highlighters, and there's certainly tons of good ones out there. I'm actually going to use the Sephora collection Bright Future Gel Serum Concealer, and this is in number 6 Madeleine. So it's a little bit lighter than my skin tone. And that's just because I want it to have that highlighting effect. And I usually wipe off any excess in the tube so I don't have too much. And you can just use your fingers for this. So I just use like a little dot here and here and here and here. And you certainly can use a brush if you want, but I feel like I can use my fingers. It's not too difficult for what you're trying to do. And if you end up getting it in your brow, fear not, you can go back in with your brow pencil and always touch that up. And the other reason why I like to use concealer over like maybe a brow highlight is that sometimes I feel like a brow highlight can look a little dated when it's shiny. So it just depends. I know that brows are going to be my main focus for this, and that I don't have any other eye makeup on really. It's no eyeshadow look. So if you do have eyeshadow on, that can definitely pull it all together if you want to use a shine, but if you're not going to do that, I definitely recommend using something matte. Okay, so step 2 is completed. That looks pretty good. It's very subtle, but it does add that little extra bit of like definition and maybe catches your eye a little bit more. Okay, so now for the third and final step. This is the Sephora Collection Clear Brow Gel. I love this stuff. I've always loved brow gel. I particularly like this one because it has like a soft hold. It doesn't end up getting like crumbly at the end of the day, which sometimes the formulas that are from yesteryear get a little bit like sticky at the end of the day, and this really doesn't do that. I also love it because it has this tiny little brush, you can see, and it just makes it so you're not getting, you know, this clear brow gel everywhere. You can do it multiple ways. Some people go back through this way, especially if you're gonna go for that more brow laminated look, but I'm going to just brush it up a little bit. And I can already see I might need to go back in and just fill a tiny bit here, but let's just get enough brow gel in there to give it some hold. The more you comb through the hairs and the more you get them coated with the brow gel, it really makes it so it'll stick where you want it to stick, all the little hairs. I always just coat all my hairs and then I'll like go back down and just comb some of them down if they're a little too long. And what I also like about this brow gel is it gives you like a little bit of like definition to the hair so that it looks really natural. It doesn't look like you gave your brows like a really big fill. And the fact that we filled almost like underneath where the hairs are, now you can see the hairs at the top, but you don't see where I filled in. And so most of the weight is at the top of the brow, which really opens up the eye and just makes it so it's not too heavy of a brow. This one is all complete and finished. This one needs a little work, but what I really like about this is that it is a fuller brow, but because I left it a little sparse on the inner corner here, and that I also filled mostly at the top, it makes it so it's like a light and fluffy full brow, if that makes sense. So it's not adding too much weight to your overall makeup look. I'm going into my second brow, and again, the step here is to comb down and fill, and then you're going to comb through the fill and fill again, and then comb through that. And now my second step is to add some highlight and extra definition using a matte concealer, and just blend it in with your fingers or a brush. And the third and final step is to comb through with the clear brow gel. And this just adds extra definition to your brow hairs and gives it that extra fluffy, natural, filled look. Okay, these brows are officially full. Let me know if you want to see any other brow tutorials in the comments below. And if you loved this step-by-step tutorial, be sure to subscribe. And until next time, bye everybody.